Welcome on board! Next stop, Bournemouth Bus Rally.
Hello, hi, I'm Jonathan Hawkins. I'm one of the organisers of the Bournemouth Bus Rally, which is now become an annual event. The event is organised on behalf of commemorating and celebrating public transport in the Bournemouth area and the south coast of England. And this year has been thankfully supported by morebus, who are our biggest sponsor this year to actually help the event take place. We hope very much that you've enjoyed your day with us and that hopefully you'll come back to us in 2025.
Good morning, I'm David Lee Kong. I'm the Operations Director for Go South Coast, and in particular morebus, the sponsor this year of the Bournemouth Bus Rally. And we're very proud to sponsor the event for our second year and also bring some of our fleet from different parts of our wider business for you to see here today.
Absolutely, my name is Councillor George Farquhar and I've got the honour of being the Mayor of Bournemouth and the first citizen, and I'm absolutely delighted to be at the Bournemouth Bus Rally today, simply because it is such a great event and it identifies heritage that buses are brought to Bournemouth throughout. And it's such a delight to see the weather with us today and people coming in to enjoy all the events at the Bus Rally today.
Well, the sun is shining on this one of our very special vehicles. It's our 1978 Bristol VRT Mk III with an Eastern Coachworks body. And this vehicle started with morebus's predecessor, bar two really, Hanson Dorset, which was the national bus company operator in Dorset, Hampshire and Wiltshire. When Hanson Dorset was split up in the latter days of the national bus company, this vehicle, which was based at Pewsey for most of its life, transferred to Wilson Dorset, and this is the privatisation livery of Wilson Dorset, the precursor to morebus that we see today. Now, Wilson Dorset was purchased by the Go Ahead Group in 2003, and morebus as a name started with the M1 and M2 services between Poole and Bournemouth, and over time it became the brand that we and the business that we now call our Bournemouth and Poole operations.
Well, hello from Bournemouth on what is now a sunny Sunday, but it was absolutely cascading down with rain a couple of hours ago, so we're really lucky. King Alfred bus here in Bournemouth, of course, slightly out of context, but it's a wonderful event and we love to support it, so we send a bus from Winchester, and that's why it says it's going to Oliver's Battery, because there's no Oliver's Battery in Bournemouth. This bus, of course, is a 1964 AEC Renown. Amazing to relate that it's actually one of the few half-cab vehicles on site today. Most vehicles here are more modern and have a flat box, but this one is the traditional half-cab engine beside the driver arrangement. Anyway, 75 seat, part roll body, ran for King Alfred till 1973, of course, like everything else. Spent another 4 years in Winchester before ending up on Merseyside, being used by Burma Castrol for staff transport. It was rescued by the Oxford Bus Museum, and it's been with the Friends of King Alfred buses since the early 1990s. It's had a run out today, and we like to represent FoKAB and the King Alfred existence in other places, and so that's why we're here today, supporting the Bournemouth Bus Rally here on Kings Park.
Okay, hi, I'm Jamie Burrows from Burrows Coaches, and I've come to Bournemouth today with two of my motors. I've got Monica behind me and Phoebe, which is an ex-Yellow Buses Volvo. Monica was in Bournemouth Pride yesterday, and she's one of our seat-belted double-deckers, and Phoebe, HF03 ODS, is an ex-Bournemouth Yellow Buses.
Are Monica and Phoebe coming from friends?
Yes, yes. So all of the buses have names, and we had Rachel, Monica, Phoebe. I've also got Lillian Rose. I've got Missy B. Yeah, so they've all of my motors have got names instead of fleet numbers. Yeah, we're just one of the small independent operators in Dorset, and yeah, pleased to support Bournemouth Bus Rally.
Well, we start with one of the very latest buses in our fleet, fleet number 1790. This is one of 8 at our Ringwood depot, and it's been primarily bought for Service X3 between Salisbury and Bournemouth. Now, there are 6 branded in a dedicated livery and 2 in our generic spare livery. We have got some plans to put an extra vehicle into the X3 cycle, hopefully next year, or maybe even later this year, with a view of changing the route in Fordingbridge and also extending the service ultimately to Salisbury Railway Station. So real big investment for our Ringwood depot. One of the older vehicles that we've bought here today is 1012 from our Damory business. This is a Scania with an East Lancs omnidecker body, and this actually started life not with us but with Reading Transport. It began its career there in about 2006, and then it was purchased by Go South Coast back in around 2012, I believe, for a contract serving Alton College in Deepest Hampshire that was from another operator. That contract then changed hands again in later years, and this vehicle transferred to Damory, and it can now be found operating out of our Dorchester and Pimperne depots on local schoolwork, as well as on some of our bus services. I'm stood here next to 1717. This was one of a batch of just over 20 vehicles delivered to our morebus operation in the autumn of 2023. And they've just recently been joined by a further batch of vehicles at Poole Depot to operate one of the most intensive services on the south coast of England, the M1 and M2 service that links Poole, Bournemouth. The M1 goes on to Bournemouth Hospital, and the M2 service serves Southbourne. This is one of our latest spec vehicles. It's got a number of different features that we've worked on recently on the interior. One of the things we're really proud of with our latest buses here at Morebus is the interiors that we've got. This is a brand new interior to us, We've spent a lot of time working with an expert designer, Ray Stenning from Best Impressions, who's done a lot of work to make sure that this is absolutely a first-class customer environment. You'll see we've got absolutely sumptuous seats that are really comfortable with extra padding, and we also have 4 seats rather than 5 at the back on both decks. Now, to make best use of the space available in many modern buses, there is sometimes a need to have reverse-facing seats, particularly over the rear axle, and these vehicles are no different. But one of the things we noticed is that some of our customers sitting on the back seat tend to want to put their feet up on the actual cushions of those rear-facing seats, and that obviously isn't ideal. So one of the things that we have done with our batch of vehicles that was delivered in 2023 is to fit fold-up seats. So the back can fold up, and you can pop your feet on and have a really nice, comfortable journey. Upstairs, we've got no hand poles apart from just around the staircase to give a much more open and quality feel about the vehicle. One of the new features of these vehicles is our brand new flooring design. Like the previous vehicles, we have spent a lot of time thinking about what the best way of doing the design of the floor is, and also working with designers and taking feedback. Now, our floors are dementia friendly, and that means that the aisle of the vehicle, where people are going to mainly walk up and down, that is a light colour, and under the seats is a darker colour. And the reason for that is the feedback from those people who suffer from dementia is that walking on a dark flooring can be something of an obstacle to them. Having that light coloured flooring gives them confidence and shows the way that they need to pass through the vehicle.
Fire system pressure, okay.
Oh, he talks. So you join me inside one of our very latest vehicles that we have, and I'm sat here in the cab, where the first thing you'll notice compared to many operators in the country is that we don't have cab screens. We did have to carry these in COVID times, of course, but we believe that actually our customers get a far better service if there is no physical barrier between the driver and the intending passenger, and also that we can overcome any challenges of antisocial behaviour and things like that through the training that we do with our workforce. This vehicle, it's a diesel vehicle, but it's with the very latest Euro 6 ultra-low emission vehicles, and it features start-stop technology. So when the doors are open at a bus stop, the engine will cut out. When the doors close, the engine will restart. Again, a great way of saving on fuel and emissions. Perhaps the biggest feature from a driver point of view that our latest vehicles carry now is the camera monitoring system, and this replaces the traditional near side and offside wing mirror. And as you can see by this, the driver gets a really great view, in fact 2 views down the side of the vehicle, which is now done through cameras, sending the images to these dedicated screens. And particularly in wet weather or at night, the driver gets a much better view of the side of the vehicle and can see any hazards that are appearing. When you drive a bus, mirrors or being able to see the side of your vehicle is absolutely essential. This kit is expensive, but it's gone down really well with the workforce, and the drivers absolutely love it. Please come and have a ride on one between Bournemouth Pool and the rest of the conurbation. Delivered in the summer of 2022, 1688 here is one of a batch of 15 vehicles we have for our dedicated UniBus operations serving the University of Bournemouth. Now these vehicles came just in time because they were delivered just before yellow buses ceased operations in Bournemouth, and were an essential part of us being able to mobilise at very, very short notice to provide services filling the gaps that Bournemouth Transport left behind. This vehicle in particular is in a brand students from the University have designed, and this one is celebrating diversity across Bournemouth. So 2251 is one of our Volvo B7 RLEs with right Eclipse 2 bodywork. So you'll see that 2251 is named Nick Scott. Now, Nick was a very loyal member of the team at Morebus and unfortunately passed away a number of years ago. And this bus commemorates him and is really valued by the rest of the team that we can name a bus in dedication to one of our loyal employees. 2251 is one of the stalwarts from our pool-based fleet. This vehicle was delivered in 2012 and originally this batch of vehicles went to London to serve for the Olympic Games, helping transport people around the capital city during that very busy period. When they returned to Poole, they were put into service on the M1 and M2 service between Poole and Bournemouth and so on. And these vehicles were then replaced in 2017 and early 2018 and now can be found on the town routes around Poole. 2101 is a Scania with a right solar bodywork, and this was unique in the Morebus fleet until only a month or so ago. It was initially bought to operate the Bournemouth University contract back in 2009. It was subsequently painted in Morebus livery and transferred to other routes in and around Poole and Bournemouth. In the last month or so, as you can see, it has transferred to our sister company in the Swindon area, and that joins a wider fleet of similar vehicles. 3815 is one of two Optare Solos we have here today, and you can see by the registration number of this vehicle, beginning with HW, that this began life on the Isle of Wight. It was one of a dedicated fleet that were purchased back in 2012 to operate school buses on a contract to the Isle of Wight Council. That contract has changed over the years, and as a consequence, this vehicle has now moved to Morebus. 2023, it became one of the two dedicated vehicles for Route 1, which is a contract that we operate on behalf of BCP Council, and you'll see on the sides and rear of it, it's in a dedicated livery to promote those services. Also from the Isle of Wight, 3819 is another Optare Solo, this time with our Damory business, which is based west in Dorset, and this serves predominantly from our Dorchester depot, but also be found in Pimpern, and these vehicles operate school and local bus services in and around Dorchester and the west of Dorset.
If you would like to be featured in a future video, please do drop me a line, leave a message or comments below the video. See you guys next time. Please click on subscribe and click on the bell.